What up, Net fans? NetsBoy here, bringing your latest in your Brooklyn Nets news. December 23rd. That's today's date. And the Nets kind of. I'm not sure what the hell's going on with this team. The last four games for the Nets didn't go exactly the way I thought they would. They started off with a 91-95 loss to the Miami Heat. That was a game I thought they had a good chance of winning. There was no Chris Bosh for the Heat in that game, and but Dwayne Wade was old Dwayne Wade, and he played very well. And once again, the Nets did not have Brook Lopez. And when it was all said and done, the Nets lost that game down the stretch. But they got off to a good start and then lost down the stretch. Then they played the Raptors the next day, and it was the same exact thing. Nets got off to a great start and then lost down the stretch. Ended up losing by 16 points, which was also bad. Then they play the Cavaliers. Get off to a great start, but fall apart, suck and die down the stretch, and lose by 4 in that game in which Darren Williams got hurt. Finally, then, they ended up beating the Pistons, but barely, and once again, same thing, got off to a great start, fell apart, and almost sucked and died. So there seems to be a common theme with the Nets, and that is they get off to a great start to start off the game, and they have a lead, basically a good 10-point lead in the first quarter, and it slowly dwindles away in the second quarter, and to the point where it basically disappears in the third quarter, and then it's just basically tampers off as the game goes on. The Nets are really struggling at being consistent throughout the game, and it's kind of simple actually. A lot of Hollins has addressed it, but when the game starts off, the Nets' ball movement is phenomenal. It doesn't matter who's out there. Joe Johnson, Darren Williams, Teletovic, Plumlee, anybody, Bogdanovic, Karasev, they're all moving the ball, making the extra pass, and getting great shots. And as the game goes on, they start playing one-on-one isolation, and it just doesn't make sense to me. They get away from what was working. And I don't know if that's because Joe Johnson thinks that he can take people one-on-one, but he does it a lot, and Jarrett Jack does it all the time, and then all of a sudden people start trying to do more because other people aren't passing the ball's not free-flowing, so everyone says, oh wait, now that we're down, I gotta try to be the guy to play hero ball and to bring us back. And that's what's been happening with these Nets games. And when you play the good teams, that doesn't cut it. It doesn't cut it when you're playing the Raptors. That won't cut it when you're playing the Cavaliers. Alright? You can't get away from what's working for you. The Nets look phenomenal. In the last 4 games, the Nets got off to a 10-point lead in all 4 of those games. And they only won 1 of those 4 games. Because they're just getting away. Their ball movement stops. And that needs to stop. How do you fix that? Maybe you trade somebody. You know, there is the rumor about Darren Williams being traded to the Kings for Darren Collison, Jason Thompson, and Derek Williams. Look. Okay. That's definitely gonna shed some salary off the Nets books, but does it make the Nets necessarily a better team? I don't think so. Darren Collison is having a great year this year, but I don't think he's an upgrade over Darren Williams. I don't even think Darren Williams is that much of an upgrade over him right now, the way he's been playing. He's played very well for the Kings, but at the same time, is that going to make a big difference to this Nets team? That would be strictly a salary cap shed move. Now, if you want to shed salary cap, by all means, I say that's a good move, because you're going to get out of Darren Williams' contracts, and Jason Thompson and Derek Williams all have contracts in which money will come off. Callison, I think, just signed a 3-year deal, so he'll still be there. And I don't know if I will ever say, though, I don't think Callison should be the point guard of the future for the Nets, but if you want to shed some salary from the salary cap, that's a move I would do, but I don't think it makes the Nets any better. And Billy King's talking about making moves to make the team better. And now, if that was the one move to get him under the hard cap, get under the salary cap to make moves in the future, I would say do it. But ticking off that money does not get the Nets under the cap. They'll still be at least 10,000 over. They'll have to move Lopez or Johnson or someone else to get under. So it doesn't even really free them up too much. That's like being chained like this and loosening one notch. You're not going to be able to still break free. You need to loosen more notches. So, I'm not against the move, but I'm not really for it. I just don't see the logic to it. Also, I don't see the logic of why the Kings want to do that. Do they think Darren Williams is the missing piece to that puzzle? Because, I mean, I don't see how that's the missing puzzle piece to that team. First of all, Collinson is playing phenomenally for him, and that's not the problem. I think the Kings are going in the wrong direction. I said it last week. Cousins is a great player. Rudy Gay's a good player too, but I think their role players are very, very, very iffy. I don't trust Ben McLemore. Okay? Jason Thompson, I think, has kind of leveled off. When he first came into the league, he was a very solid player, but he's kind of tampered away. Derek Williams is really inconsistent. Darren Collison's been good, but okay. Nick Stauskas is their rookie that they drafted. He's good, but he's inconsistent. I think that if I'm the Kings, I'm not looking to think Darren Williams is going to be the piece that's going to make them a playoff team in a Western Conference. Maybe in the Eastern Conference, but not the Western Conference. So I don't get that move at all. I don't get why either team would really do it. Like I said, the Nets could do it to shed some salary off, but it's not going to make them better. And the Kings, I don't think that would make the Kings better at all, to be honest. But whatever. That was the one rumor that was going on. But, the whole point of what I was trying to say before, though, is the Nets need to figure out how to get their offense to continuously flow on the consistently, ball movement. And like I said, trading players might be the option. But honestly, the players to be trading then is Joe Johnson and Brook Lopez, because they're the guys who slow things down because they are isolation players, especially Joe Johnson. Look, I really don't know what's going to happen going forward with this team. I'm still kind of baffled that they're playing as poorly as they are because of the fact that they're talent-wise, they're more talented than most of these teams. But they just, if they play the way they play in the first quarter throughout the game, this team would, instead of being, 11 and 15 like they are, this team would probably be the exact opposite, 15 and 11, if they played the way they've been playing consistently. That being said, the schedule is about to get very, very easy for the Nets. They just played the Pistons, barely beat them, but they got the Nuggets tonight. That should be a win. Nuggets technically have a better record than them, but I think the Nets are a better team. Brook Lopez might be playing in that game. We'll find out. That's another thing. Let's be honest. If you want to try to make up a bunch of excuses for the Nets, you're going to say that the Nets have not been fully healthy for about 2 weeks. Since Lopez got hurt, they were about a 500 team when that happened. They were a 500 team, Lopez got hurt, and then they've slid a bit. If you want to make excuses, okay, make excuses. But even without Lopez, the Nets are a better team than the last. They should have won more of the games than they did. So the Nuggets, they should win that game. Then they got the Celtics. They should win that game. They're better than them. Then they got the Pacers. A Paul George-less Pacers. They should beat them. They're better than them. Then they got the Kings. I think that they're better than the Kings. They should beat them. So I'm not going to go much into the Kings game because that's the following week, but the next 3 games for them, Nuggets, Celtics, and Pacers, they should win all 3 of those games. Shouldn't they? And if you go forward, then they got the Bulls. Okay, they'll probably lose that game. But then they got the Magic. They should win that game. Then they got the Heat. They should be able to win that game. Honestly, of the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games, the Nets should go 6-1. I'm not gonna. Heck, they should go. They could possibly go. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. They're certainly not going to win all those games. I don't think they might go 5-2, but they should not go worse than 5-2 those next 7 games. They shouldn't. They shouldn't. They're better than all those teams except for the Bulls. Maybe not record-wise, but talent-wise. Talent-wise, they're better than the Nuggets. Talent-wise, they're better than the Celtics. Talent-wise, they're better than the Pacers. Talent-wise, they're better than the Kings. Talent-wise, they're better than the Magic. Talent-wise, in my opinion, they're better than the Heat. even though they haven't been able to beat them yet. Only the Bulls are the only team that talent-wise not better than. So of the next 7 games, the Nets should be 6-1. Anything less than 5-2 is unacceptable. But guess what? If the Nets can go 5-2, they will be 16-17, right around 500. Look, if they can have that record going into the new Year's or going into late January, going into the New Year's, going to January, I'll be happy with that. Okay. I would. I think the Nets can turn their season around from that point on, and they can build going forward and be a very good team. Look, I don't doubt this team one bit. I mean, I don't doubt them turning it around yet. I mean, when I watch them play, I doubt them right now, but I don't doubt that they can turn it around. And looking at the standings, I certainly don't doubt that they can still be a playoff team. Actually, I know they can be a playoff team, being that they're the 9th seed right now. And I'm going to be straight up honest, looking at the standings, being here in December, I can see them reaching at least the 6th seed. I'm going to be a little bit more realistic than my preseason predictions where I had them as the 3 seed. That's not happening. It's not. Even if the Nets went, really went like a 10-15 game winning streak. Toronto, Atlanta, and Washington, they're untouchable. Those are going to be the top 3 seed. They're going to be in the top tier. I think Cleveland will jump Chicago. I'm not buying the Bulls this year. Okay, Derrick Rose barely plays, and when he is, he's a shell of himself. So I'm not buying him to be that good. Honestly, if I were to redo my evaluation of the Eastern Conference, I would say it's going to end up being Toronto, Cleveland, Washington, and then Atlanta. I think Atlanta, unless Atlanta gets hurt. Like last year, people don't remember this. The Hawks were in a similar spot last year. They were actually a really good team. They were like the 3-4 seed. Then Al Horford got hurt, and everything just fell apart. So I think the Hawks are going to be the 4 seed, and I think that the Bulls will be the 5th seed. I think that here's my right now, from what I've seen of how the league's gone off from the beginning, my new reevaluated Eastern Conference predictions really quickly. I think it will be the Raptors, then the Cavaliers, then the Wizards, then the Hawks, then the Bulls, then the Nets, then the Heat, and then the Bucks. I think the 8 teams that are currently in the playoffs right now will be in the playoffs. I don't buy Boston. I don't buy Orlando. I don't buy the Pacers without Paul George. You know what? I don't want to give up on the Hornets yet because of, if they could figure it out. But right now, that's my new reevaluation of the Eastern Conference going forward. Look, anything can still happen. But I'm going to be honest, I don't see the Nets right now really being higher than a 45 win team. Maybe 45 to 48 wins. Even if they turn the season around like I think they should, based on how they play, I just think 45 wins to 48 wins is a lot more of a realistic expectation. And I'm really disappointed in saying that because I really thought that 48 to 52 wins was not out of the question for this team. But unless they really turn it around and really become one of the better teams in the league, I don't know. But that being said, who knows what will happen going forward? Will Joe Johnson be traded? Will Brook Lopez be traded? That's another thing. Mason Plumlee has played phenomenally the last few games. That's been the one bright spot. What does that mean when Brook Lopez comes back? Is Plumlee going to start? Lopez going to come off the bench? What's happening there? They're going to trade Lopez? Personally, I don't want Lopez traded. He's my favorite player. I mean, I wear his jersey. He's the one Nets jersey I own because I like him a lot. I'm trying to cry. But I'm going to be honest, it's the most logical time to trade him. Plumlee's playing phenomenally in the starting lineup. Lopez gets hurt all the time. He's got the most tradable contract of their big 3. A lot of teams think he's got a high upside. This is the best time to trade Brook Lopez, and I really don't want them to do it. I really like Lopez. I like Plumlee too. But personally, I think Lopez has a higher upside. If I was to be told right now I had to pick between Mason Plumlee and Brook Lopez, I would pick Brook Lopez. I know he gets hurt a lot, and I know he's an inconsistent defensive player, and I know he's not a great rebounder, but his ceiling is so much higher. Plumlee, I don't think the ceiling for Plumlee is going to get much better than what he is right now. He strikes me as a great energy rebounding type guy, but I don't think he's ever going to develop a true offensive game. And I don't think he's ever going to be that great of a defensive player. He's a great help defender with his block shots, but I don't think he's going to be that great of a defensive player. I think Plumlee is legitimately a great backup center. I don't think he's a true starter. I think he's a great energy guy off the bench. So if I had to pick, I'd rather trade Plumlee. Which is part of the reason why the deal, from what people were saying, with the Kings hasn't happened, because the Kings want Plumlee as well. But honestly, once again, remember what I said last week about trading Joe Johnson and Plumlee for Rudy Gay? That's what I would do, Nets. Obviously, the Kings are interested in Plumlee as an asset. Hold off through this year and then trade Joe Johnson and Plumlee for Rudy Gay. Do it. Do it. Do it. But anyway, I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't. But I know that I think the Nets can turn this around. The next 3 games, I expect the Nets to go 3-0. I do. They should. They're better than those teams. But we'll see. It's been a very frustrating year so far, and I'm just, like the last 2 seasons, I'm just kind of like, it's... But we'll see what happens. So until next week, this is NetsBoy, signing off.